We want to welcome you to the Bill and Frantz show. Just two guys, discussing things, and want to get the audience involved. What's up, man?
How you doing?
Man, I'm good.
Happy Thursday. It's Thursday, right?
Yes, it's Happy Thursday.
August 4th. Just came back last week. My friends and I, we went to Wisconsin, did some camping. And then we went to I got rained on in Wisconsin. It was really crazy drive up. Really freaking hot. As everyone knows, it's been a hot summer. And then we got up there, and it was, once we settled down, it was beautiful. We went swimming, did some hikes. There were a lot of bugs on the hugs, just on the hiking trail, not at our camping spot. And second night we were like, oh, it's so wonderful, it's so beautiful. And then we looked up between the trees, we didn't see any stars. So like, there's no stars tonight. I guess I'm not gonna get to see the moon. It rained. It was a thunderstorm for 8 hours straight while we were in our tents. Mine leaked. And
Adventures in the Wild.
Yeah. Then we went to Chicago, and I got to see Wrigley Field, which I'd never seen before.
That's cool.
And my buddy Dan. We also got rained on there. So we went to my friend Dan, in his neighborhood. We walked like 1.5 miles to his favorite bar. And then we were hanging out in there. Then while we're there, that's when the rain came. It was pouring. All these little hipsters and their cute girlfriends were all running around in the rain. And so we had to run all the way back. By the time we got back, we were absolutely drenched.
1.5 miles, I'm sure you would. Wow.
But the Cubs won that weekend, so that day.
That's cool. Okay. Well, shoot, man, everything's cool with me. Just, taking care of Jay. That's my 2-year-old. Woo. That's some work, but yes, it's cool. I'm good.
Terrible twos.
Terrible twos, but then, terrible twos. She's adorable and I love her. She can be terrible sometimes. She got an attitude.
Where'd you get that?
Probably from her mom. Me too, though. Let me take some of that blame and I have to clean that up. Anyway, I see we got the title, Teabaggers Got Their Way.
Yes, Teabaggers Got Their Way. As you may recall, there was a bit of a little controversy about the debt ceiling, which was something that up until this year had been approved without any question over time. So the Teabaggers got their way, and their thing was, we gotta stop spending, so what we'll do is we'll cut all sorts of programs, and no compromise, and so...
No tax revenues.
Yeah, and no tax revenues for all, because that tax revenues also increases balancing the budget, but no, we're going to try to balance it one way.
Right.
Anyway, and so Obama, he had to keep on fighting, and he was getting all grumpy, and they were getting grumpy of him and all that and stuff, and and eventually he had to do more compromising, and then so now the Democrats are disappointed in him.
Well, a lot of people are saying that he caved, but if you think about it, if you really think about it, he had to accept that, in my view, only because if he didn't accept it, the country would have defaulted. It would have took us down. It would have made it worse. And so I have to look at it from the perspective that, the Tea Party and the Republicans, mainly the Tea Party though, really did not want to compromise. Obama had kind of got forced into this position. Either the country defaults or he accepts the deal.
Yeah.
What do you do?
There's a word for that.
Hijack?
Close. It's the legal word meaning bribery or whatever. I can't think of it now. But anyway, extortion. That's the word.
That's the word. Extort.
Yeah. So basically, they felt like they got most of their demands, but and Obama, all he got was, I guess he did get his debt ceiling raised and everything, but he had to sacrifice all sorts of other things, and now they're all saying, compromise makes no one happy, and it's like, the compromise, you guys pretty much got what you want, but the thing you didn't get was that you didn't completely destroy the country.
Right. That's
and tear it all down.
You're not getting that you're bringing the country down when you're not trying to balance the budget. We're still trying to divide the country. We're called the United States, not the United Divided States. Is that Al Sharpton make or something like that?
You quote that every time. It's true though, we're not the United, the UDSA.
But yeah,
UDSA choice.
Yeah, they got their way. But I guess it's just to the point where, to me, it makes me think about the 2000 elections when the Democrats got the House, the Senate, and the White House, when they got everything, you know, and they didn't even stick together as a party to move some things, to make some things happen as a party. Okay, and so, and when the 2010 election came up and the Republicans took back some of the House, that's because the Democrats can sometimes be indecisive. You guys need to, when the Republicans get whatever they get, whether they're wrong or not, they band together as a group. They're really strong together as a group because they band together, they stick together. Democrats, y'all don't. I expect if we give you guys in 2012 everything back, we don't expect no jelly bags. Jelly bags.
Ouch. I don't even know what that means, but that doesn't sound good. Right.
You don't get a spine. That's what it means. We need some spines.
Oh, I was thinking more of a topping.
All right.
Well, you know, it's inherent though. The political part. You know, everyone's like back in 2000s. We're saying, you know, everyone's like, oh, no difference between Democrat and Republican Party. Yes, there is. There's some fundamental differences. But the one we're talking about today, as far as solidarity is concerned, is that the Democratic Party is a pluralistic party that actually kind of embraces the idea of having more than one constituency and being for the people. And if you're going to be for the people, there's a lot of variety. Whereas the Republican Party is kind of maybe a little more authoritarian. And
do it.
And so it's by the nature of the personalities of the party, it makes more sense that they would stick together more because just the nature of the authoritarian versus pluralistic thing, you're bound to have more.
When you feel when you're in charge and you're used to being in charge, Hail Caesar! You know, you kind of don't think about everybody as how you think about how, you know, you control stuff because when you say things happen.
Yeah.
You know?
You follow my orders?
No. Or be beheaded. Okay. Well, we're just playing. We're acting silly, but you know.
So what's this Governor Perry thing? Tell me about that.
Well, he organized a National Prayer Day and said that it's not political. And I'm sorry. And I don't want to be the one who says, you know, he's lying or saying anything about...
You lie!
Right. Or question what he's trying to do. But I kind of believe, as politicians, everything you do is political.
That's true.
It's just, you know, if you're a Republican, because I listen to a lot of people, it don't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat, you know, when you tell me that you're the religious or righteous right or something like that, is that what they call themselves, the righteous right or something?
The religious right?
Or the religious right? One of those, they lean towards Christian values or something like that.
That's the religious right.
The religious right. Okay, well, as I read the Bible and Christianity, to be like Christ, right? That's what that means, Christianity, to be like Christ. And all I remember is reading the stories of Christ, that how compassionate he was, how he fed the poor, how he healed the poor, how he did a lot of things for the poor. He always says you'll have the poor with you, but take care of them.
He also, I recall there was a famous, whoever throws the first stone, they don't cast, he doesn't want there like people casting judgments on others.
Right. He without sin cast the first stone, you know. And so it's hard for me to sit there and listen to this and say it's not political. And I'm not, it might not be, but from your views and how the people are treated as a whole, not just the few that are very wealthy. You know, I'm talking about the mass of the people who are pretty much going through some hard times. If you have no compassion, it's hard for me to see you in the same light that I see Christ and the message that he was get it. So, hey, what do you think, man? Political.
Well, I think anytime a politician says, well, you know, this isn't political, or even like when politicians condemn other politicians, and it's like, dude, you're a politician. You better stop acting like politicians are dirty, because you are one. The same way, if I may rant some more, the same way that, like, you know, the same group of people we're talking about before, talking about how government is bad and all this stuff, and we need less government. It's like, and you're going to go work for the government, and you don't believe in it. The same way that what's his name, Bolton, a few years ago was appointed to the UN by Bush, and he before he was appointed to the UN, he had said the UN shouldn't even exist. And so you're going to appoint an ambassador to the UN for someone who doesn't believe in it?
Right.
I mean, it's just like, do you want a bus driver that doesn't believe in buses? You know, it's like a policeman that doesn't believe in law and order? What the hell? I mean,
you know, there might be something out there.
Well, that might be a good one. You know what I mean?
But now I definitely.
A doctor doesn't believe in
medicine. You know, I definitely feel what you're saying about that. You know, yes. But check this out. A great movie is coming out soon. Planet of the Apes.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Rise. Now I saw the. Did you see the original?
You mean the original remake?
Well, yes.
Which one do you mean?
Either one.
You mean that original?
The guy.
You idiots, or whatever they said. Anyway, so this is the prequel where they actually we never saw this before in the original stories. It's actually how the apes finally just come to power and wipe out the humans. And if I recall, you know, there's one thing where they're saying that I'm just watching previews, and they're like, oh my God, you know, they're just animals, and he's like, no, they're really smart. They might even be smarter than us. And I'm thinking, well, if you do all that with the apes and stuff and make them smarter, it's genetically engineer them to do so. But if I recall from the old movies, they didn't seem any smarter than the humans. They were just belligerent. You know, I mean, they were just in power, and they had spears and all that stuff, but they weren't smarter than the humans. They just had them under wraps. So
they kind of, but in this movie, they made them smarter. It seems.
At least smart enough to take over the world. Right. Which is scary.
People are going to go. I mean, people are going to flock to this movie because it's exciting, it's adventurous, it's action-packed. You know,
it's got apes.
Got apes and smart apes. You know, I mean, to actually take over the world. You know what I'm saying? These are some very smart apes. Now, Colby
Rasmus. Now this is kind of old news. Baseball. Like last week, the Cardinals had an ongoing thing. As you know, Colby Rasmus is a young whippersnapper outfielder who had what they call a little league dad bring him all the way to the majors. So he loves his dad, and his dad loves him. And his dad coached him all the way through Little League up to the major leagues. I love my dad. Yeah. His dad's name is Tony Rasmus, which also happens to be Tony is also the name of the manager. You may have heard of him.
He loves me.
Tony La Russa. So anyway, Colby Rasmus gets all the way up to the majors, and he's still taking in tips from his dad. Meanwhile, he's got Tony La Russa, his boss.
Trying to coach him.
And his very famous batting coach, Mark McGuire, a very famous hitter.
Trying to coach him,
but he doesn't listen to them, and so he still is like, well, my daddy says, and worse yet, that's kind of okay because they could smack him down, but his dad goes online and starts blogging about how his son, who's employed by the St. Louis Cardinals, doesn't belong there, and how he doesn't fit and everything, and he's not treated right. So eventually they had enough. And just this past week or so, the midsummer trading, they traded him. They traded him to the Blue Jays, and they got I forgot his name, another outfielder who's okay, and then they got this wicked pitcher, whose name I also forgot, who kicked ass.
I guess what it boils down to is Colby, grow up. Did I say that? Did I say that?
You did say that.
Did I?
It's funny, you know, I think that the Blue Jays are taking a different approach, because I saw a little press release and they're like, we're going to try to work with Tony Rasmus, Colby's dad.
They should have said, we're going to try to work with his daddy.
Daddy, yeah. Well, we'll see. They might be just taking a different approach, because what happens is when people start, you know, being confrontational, they solidify their stands and they become rigid. So maybe being Canadian, they're taking a little more, well, why don't we just talk about it? And
right.
Maybe it'll work out better that way. And he's in a new place and fresh hope.
But honestly, Colby, I mean, grow up, man. Because you know what? At some point, you leave being a boy and become a man.
Yeah.
On that note, we want to thank you for watching the Bill and Frantz Show.